Chapter 18 Dinner Date. Maybe the best moment of the whole day was when Bat finally felt Thor rustling in the pouch that hung from around Bat's neck. Thor woke from his nap just when Lawrence was finishing the last bath, which was for an inky spaniel named Webster. "Lawrence," Bat said, "Thor is waking up!" Bat pulled open the sling and gently extracted the kit from it, holding Thor's warm, wiggly body up to his cheek. The kit's nose twitched as he snuffed around. "Baby wants his milk," Lawrence said, and together they fed him. If Bat had his way, he would wear Thor in the sling all the time, but Mom made him take it off at bath time and bedtime. She was willing to compromise at dinner. "Really, Bat, don't you think Thor would be more comfortable in his enclosure?" Mom said as she served out 3 platefuls of spaghetti and meatballs. "No," said Bat, "I really don't." Mom squinted her eyes tight. When she opened them, she said, "Okay, Thor can join us for dinner as long as he stays in the sling." "I'll bet when he's older, though, Thor will love spaghetti and meatballs," Bat said happily, twirling a messy forkful of noodles. "Skunks eat everything, you know. They're omnivores. Omni meaning everything, vor meaning one who eats." "We know, Bat," said Janie. "You told us already, like 100 times." "Don't you think it's interesting?" asked Bat. "Don't I think what is interesting?" "Everything," said Bat. "Everything there is to know about animals." "Not really," said Janie. "I think theater is way more interesting than animals." "That's stupid," said Bat, because it was. "Bat," said Mom in her warning voice, deep and serious with her eyebrows pointed toward her nose. "I'm sorry I said your interest is stupid," said Bat. He wasn't actually sorry because Janie's interest was stupid. Theater was pretend. Animals were real. But Mom had let him bring Thor to the dinner table, so Bat turned his mouth up in a smile and added, "Will you forgive me?" Mom liked it when he remembered to say that. "Whatever," Janie said. "Mom, did you make any garlic bread?" "Oh, it's in the oven. It's probably done," Mom said. Janie pushed back from the table, found an oven mitt in the drawer, and pulled the tray of bread out of the oven. It smelled wonderful. "Ezra once said that garlic is the best smell in the world, better even than roses," Janie said, putting the bread slices into a basket and bringing it to the table. "That Ezra is a character," Mom said. "He's pretty funny," Janie said. "He even makes our math teacher laugh, and she doesn't think anything is funny." "If she doesn't think anything is funny," Bat said, reaching across the table for a piece of bread, "then why does she laugh at Ezra? Is it mean laughing?" "No, Bat," said Janie. "She thinks Ezra is funny." "Then why did you say she doesn't think anything is funny?" "Never mind, Bat," said Janie. Bat took a bite. "Chapter 18, said Janie. Bat took a bite of the garlic bread. The crust was crusty, and then the inside was hot and squishy. Melted butter glazed his fingers, which he licked one by one. They ate for a few minutes without talking, the only sounds the crunch of biting into bread and the scraping noise of forks against plates as they wound bites of spaghetti. Then Janie announced, "I've decided I'm going to audition for the Queen." "I thought you wanted to be Alice," Mom said. "That was before I read the script," Janie said. "Then I realized that Alice is boring. She just wanders around whining about everything." "You'd be good at that part," Bat said. "You're good at whining." "Mom," whined Janie, "make him stop." "Bat," said Mom, "that wasn't nice." "But I said she'd make a good Alice," Bat said. "But not for a good reason," Mom explained. "Why does the reason matter? I gave her a compliment." "I don't think it felt like a compliment to Janie," Mom said. "Janie, did it feel like a compliment to you?" "No," said Janie. "It was an insult." You see, Bat, said Mom, it wasn't a compliment to Janey. Suddenly, Bat wished that he had been wearing his earmuffs and that he hadn't even heard Mom and Janey talking about the play. Sometimes it was just better if Bat kept his thoughts to himself. Bat ate a few more bites of his spaghetti and had almost finished all his bread when he felt Thor wriggling around in his pouch. May I be excused? He asked. Yes, said Janey. Honey, you know it's up to you to model good behavior, Bat heard Mom say to Janey as he headed to the refrigerator to get out the puppy formula. Sometimes, Mom, even I'm not a good enough actress to pretend not to notice when Bat is being weird. Oh, Janey, said Mom. Get out the formula, Bat told himself. Put some in the syringe. Warm it up. Ignore Janey. Bat knew that sometimes Janey thought he was weird, but he still didn't like to hear her say it out loud. Actually, Janey could be weird too, like when she sang at the top of her lungs in the shower, even though there wasn't an audience. And how she cared if her hair was wavy or straight. Did Ezra ever think that Janey was weird? Maybe that's what makes Ezra her friend, Bat thought. He likes the parts of her that everyone else thinks are weird. Chapter 19. A Blessing of Sorts. 5 nights later, at bedtime, Janey noticed the nice thing that Bat had done to thank her for coming up with the perfect name for Thor. It had taken him 2 days to forgive Janey for being so mean during spaghetti night, and another day to come up with an idea. He'd been waiting ever since for Janey to notice. So when she called out from her bedroom, Mom, have you seen the top part of my unicorn pajamas? Bat felt excited. I did all the laundry that was in the basket, Mom answered. You washed the bottoms, but not the top, Janey said. Then you must not have put the top in the laundry basket. Why would I put in the bottoms, but not the top? Janey asked. Why would I wash just the bottoms if the top was in the basket too? Mom asked back. Then it was time for Bat to reveal the nice thing. I know where your unicorn pajama top is, he said. You do? Said Mom and Janey together. Yes, Bat said. I took it out of the dirty laundry basket. Why would you do that? Mom asked. Because if I waited until after you washed it, then Thor wouldn't recognize Janey's scent. Janey had been the one to name Thor. Even though Bat didn't like the idea of sharing Thor with anyone, Janey had earned the right for Thor to know who she was. Did you give that rodent my pajama top? Janey's voice climbed higher and higher. Actually, Bat said, skunks aren't rodents. They're Mephididae. People used to think that they belonged in the same family as weasels, ferrets, and badgers, but this scientist named Dr. Jerry Dragoo figured out that it doesn't matter, Bat, Janey said, interrupting him. Go get my pajama top right now. But it does matter, said Bat. Janey was not interested in hearing the difference between Mephididae and Mustelidae. She refused to listen to anything until after Bat had gone to Thor's enclosure and retrieved the unicorn pajama top from the pile where Thor slept. And when he tried to hand it to her, she wouldn't even take it. It smells like animal, she said. It smelled like animal before, too, Bat said, because I took it from the dirty laundry basket and it still smelled like you. She didn't scream exactly. Bat didn't know what to call the sound that she made just before she spun around, stomped back into her room, and slammed the door. Bat felt tears gathering, ready to spill. Mom came over and hugged him tight. She didn't say anything, but she rocked him back and forth in the way he liked. And after a moment, Bat felt the sting of his tears begin to fade. It was a nice gesture, Mom murmured into his hair. Bat liked the hot warmth of her breath. Baby skunks are easier than sisters, Bat said. That may be true, Mom answered. But there are lots of baby skunks in the world, and you only have one sister. Gently, she took Janie's pajama top from Bat's hand. He hadn't realized that he was still clutching it. Come on, she said. I'll teach you how to do laundry. Okay, said Bat. But first I need to check one thing. He stuck his head into Thor's enclosure to make sure the kit was settled back in after having his nest disturbed. Thor was sleeping soundly, making a noise like a tiny little snore. Bat pulled one of his own t-shirts up over Thor's body, tucking him in. Then he latched the enclosure and followed Mom to the laundry room. Maybe if we use extra fabric softener, he said, and make the pajama top softer than it's ever been, then maybe Janie won't be so mad. I think that is a very good idea, Mom said, and you can pour it in. Chapter 20. Problems. Earth to Bat, Mr. Grayson said. Bat looked up. He had been staring at his math work in front of him, but he hadn't been doing the problems. Usually Bat liked math problems because he was good at them and they made sense. Usually Bat asked for extra math problems when he was done with his regular math problems. But today, Bat didn't feel like doing the regular math problems, even though they were easy. Today, all Bat could think about was that time was passing very quickly, and that he still hadn't heard back from Dr. Jerry Dragoo, world skunk expert. You look like you're having a hard time focusing today, Bat, said Mr. Grayson. I'm not having a hard time focusing, said Bat. Let me rephrase that. You look like you're having a hard time focusing on your schoolwork today, Bat. Yes, said Bat. I am focused on something else. He can't think about anything other than that stupid baby skunk, said Luca. Thor isn't stupid, Bat said. He felt his throat grow tight with anger. Once my dog got sprayed by a skunk when we were camping, Israel said. He was stinky for a week. Okay, said Mr. Grayson. This is all very interesting, but right now is math time, not skunk time. There should be a skunk time at school, thought Bat. He picked up his pencil and forced his brain to focus on the math problems. Most of them were too easy to even bother working out on paper. But he showed all the steps because Mr. Grayson liked it when he showed his work, and Bat liked Mr. Grayson. While part of Bat's brain worked with his hand to do the math, he let another part of his brain think about skunk time. If there were a skunk time at school, like math time and language arts time and yoga time, then maybe Bat could bring Thor with him. Maybe skunk time would be when everyone in class did research about skunks and wrote reports about skunks and built skunk dioramas. Over the last week, Bat had spent as much time as he could with Thor, but every day he had to leave him when it was time for school. The kit's fur was growing in all over, fuzzy, wild black hair with a bright white stripe down the center, from the tip of his nose to the tip of his tail. He was still small enough to fit, curled into a little ball, in Bat's two hands. And he'd had plenty of time to spend with Thor, because Janie had barely spoken to him since the pajama top incident. She spent all her time in her room practicing the Off With Her Head song for her Queen audition and going over to Ezra's house. Now and every other Friday was coming, and Bat would have to go with Janie to Dad's house. Even worse, no matter how much Bat begged and pleaded and bounced up and down, no matter how clearly he explained to Mom why she should change her mind, Thor would not be going to Dad's house with Bat and Janie. This every other Friday meant that Thor had already spent 2 weeks living with Bat and his family. And if Bat didn't find a way to change Mom's mind, in 2 more weeks, Thor would be leaving for the rescue center. Thor will be fine, Bat, Mom had said. Lawrence is going to take him for the weekend. It wasn't that Lawrence couldn't do a good job of taking care of animals, Bat thought as he finished the last row of math problems. It wasn't that Bat didn't trust Lawrence. It was just that, well, Bat didn't want anyone else taking care of the skunk kit. What if Lawrence did a better job? What if Thor was happier at Lawrence's house than at their house? And even if Lawrence was trustworthy, no one was perfect. What if Lawrence put the animal carrier on the top of his car while he unlocked the door, and then he forgot it was up there and he drove away? What if Lawrence went out to get some ice cream and didn't remember to lock the door to his house and someone broke into it and stole Thor? Even if everything went just right, at the end of the weekend, they would be 2 days closer to Thor leaving them forever. Just thinking about that made Bat feel queasy, like he'd been jumping on a trampoline with a stomach full of pizza. Bat, said Mr. Grayson, do you need to take a little break? Bat stopped tapping his heels under the table. He pulled the neck of his t-shirt, which he'd been sucking on in the way he sometimes did when he felt nervous, out of his mouth. He set his pencil down. Yes, please, he said. In the back of the room, Baby Cakes sat placidly licking a light pink wheel of salt. Her ears flopped to the sides in relaxation. Bat wished he felt as calm as Baby Cakes looked. He climbed into her enclosure and sat cross-legged beside her, scratching behind her ears and thinking about the weekend. If his parents weren't divorced, then he wouldn't have to leave home every other weekend and go to his dad's dumb apartment. If his parents weren't divorced, Thor wouldn't be spending the weekend with Lawrence. Chapter 21